going on, boys and girls? Back here doing a tier list. We're going to be ranking all the NASCAR drivers based on their 2022 driver tier list. So I have all the numbers here in order. So I'm going to go over where my rankings are. Championship 4. I didn't want to put like an extra one in for champion for Logano, but Championship 4, if you made the Championship 4, you're going to go in their playoffs. If you made the playoffs, you're going to go in there. Because honestly, let's be real here. If you did either of those, you seeded. And then everybody else will find themselves meh, not good, or get out of cup. So get out of cup is somebody that's just downright trash. Not good is somebody who was in solid equipment that underperformed. And meh was people who just were meh. They if you miss the playoffs, you're kind of meh, unless you're like a backmarker team and really perform, then you're better than meh, but you get what I'm saying. So let's get into this. Let's start with Ross Chastain. Clearly, Championship 4 had an amazing run, got that Hail Mary going on. Yeah, great season. He definitely deserves to be in the Championship 4. I think he came in second. Yeah, he came in second to Joey Logano for the championship. It was an impressive run, Congrats to him, Hopefully he can repeat that. I would love to see him get back to that, or at least other smaller teams, or even his teammate, Daniel Suarez, might make a run at it. I'm just going to go ahead and plop these next guys all into playoffs, because these guys all made the playoffs, and they're pretty much the same. Let's start with Austin Cindric with an amazing rookie season, getting that win at Daytona, making the playoffs, made a little bit of run. I think he got to the round of 8. I think. No, he got just short of the round of 12, or just short of the round of 8. Almost got to the round of 8. Could have possibly made a push. I don't think he would have made it to the Championship 4, but that was an impressive run. Nobody really expected him to form that well. Then Austin Dillon pulling off that clutch win at Daytona, which was just a kind of a mess, but, it is what it is. He still won the race at the end of the day. Kevin Harvick making the playoffs off of 2 wins. I thought he was going to be a Championship 4 contender and just flamed down the first round, literally with his car catching on fire. Just slight disappointment there, but not really his fault to a complete, per se. And then Kyle Larson just running into issues in the round of 12, falling apart. It seems to be something he does. If he gets out of that, I think he wins the championship, because he did it the last year. So, I think that's a big thing. And I know last year even, I went to the Rollville race, and he had issues and was marked outside of the playoffs, like to be eliminated. And he ended up coming back and winning the race and putting him back into it. So, that round just isn't good for him. So, Brad Keselowski, I'm just going to put not good. He was not good for most of the season. I know he had a couple decent races down the end of the stretch. I think Bristol, he was leading when he blew a tire. It's just, let's be honest here, though. When you're Brad Keselowski, a former champion, he's got tons of wins, stuff like that, you're expected to at least be in the playoffs. And he was just never really at that point. He wasn't even the best driver on his team, it seemed like, most of the year. So I'm going to put him in not good. Corey LaJoie, I'm going to put in meh. I mean, his season was not ideal, but he had some sparks and some moments that really shined. But he's also on the back market team. So, him running 29th, 30th in points, stuff like that, you can look over it with what equipment he's in. And let's go ahead and plop these next 2 guys in playoffs, because they both made the playoffs. And we're going to be... Oh, wait, actually, hold up. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about Tyler Reddick. He's going to 23-11. I think that's a great move. A lot of people are like, yeah, but RCR has a limit in its playoffs. Like Tyler Reddick should have made the Championship 4. Instead, he was eliminated in the round of 16. That's insane. That is way too early for a driver of his caliber. And then once we move on with Chase Elliott, who made the Championship 4, he proved that the regular season does matter. He looked awful outside of the round of 12 where he won Talladega and the Roval. No, he didn't win the Roval. He won Talladega. Yeah, he just won Talladega. He was awful for most of the playoffs, but he still squeaked into the Championship 4. I think he had a decent race at Martinsville and Bristol as well. And then obviously he did well in the Roval, but for his standards, he struggled around a 16. He had bad races in the round of 8. He he pretty much wrecked himself with Ross Chastain in the championship 4 race at Phoenix. Just, I don't know. Honestly, if like I didn't have these linked, I would almost say meh. just because of how bad his playoff run was. I mean, his regular season, he was clear away the front runner for the championship, and then he wasn't much of a factor. Even before he wrecked in that race, it was always Logano and Chastain were the top 2 of the playoff guys. I'm gonna put, yeah, I mean, not good is a bit of a mean thing. He had a decent season. Probably would have made the playoffs if we didn't have so many winners. But, I don't know. Eric Almirola just doesn't do anything for me. I wish he did retire. Yeah, I'm just going to put him in meh. Let's go with Denny Hamlin and get these 3 guys all up in here. So, Hamlin, kind of disappointment in the end, missing the championship 4, but with how bad this season looked for him, and he underperformed through and through, to just make the playoffs, make a deep run, and come a Hail Melon away from making the playoffs. If Ross Chastain didn't just send in that last turn at Martinsville, Hamlin's in. Easy. Hamlin had the transfer. It's nuts. I mean, it's kind of crazy, though. If Ross Chastain did make that move, I think he would have got in, and Chase Elliott would have missed the playoffs or something like that. I think. Because I know Chase Elliott missed the championship 4. Because the 5 is in the championship 4. Anyway, or for the owners. Okay, so Ryan Blaney, winless season, made a decent run in the playoffs. Just disappointing in the end, though. Like, he disappoints in the round of 8. Like, even last year when I thought he had a really solid chance, Martinsville is just a kryptonite for him. He struggled at Martinsville. He struggles in the round of 8. It's going to be hard to see him ever getting to the championship or to take the next step because he just can't get over that hump. And then Chase Briscoe, really impressive, got all the way to the champion, the round of 8. Did not expect him to get that far. I mean, he's been kind of mediocre. Even this year, he was mediocre. He got that win early at Phoenix, and then he just somehow squeaked through every round. I don't know how he was doing it. I was shocked. But, impressive run. I'm glad for him. And hopefully he can, repeat this and bring SHR back to what they were. I know Priest just got the 41, which is awesome. I'm so glad they actually did that. And we'll talk about that when we get to Cole Custer in a little bit. The 15, I'm just going to put not good. Whoever was driving the car was just not good. I wouldn't say they're out of cup because they weren't that bad. In the 16, I'll put it meh. Because normally, if like Allmendinger was driving it, was pretty damn good. Anybody else, it was kind of just whatever. Maybe 25th at best. Also, Chris Buescher, or Christopher Buescher, otherwise known as, had a pretty decent season. He did get that win at Bristol. A little too late to make the playoffs, but his season was better than people expected. He actually outperformed Brad Keselowski, a former champion, and that's why he'll go in the meh. Would like to see him make that step and make the playoffs next year. Maybe make a little bit of a run. Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing or whatever it is now. RFK, I think. Yeah. I hope they just take that next step forward. Kyle Busch, he made the playoffs, but it was super disappointing season. He's moving on to RCR, which I don't think is anywhere near an improvement. And he just, he didn't perform. I mean, he misses the playoffs over his teammate if he didn't look into that win. If Chase Briscoe didn't checkers or wreckers all over Tyler Reddick at the Bristol Dirt. It's whatever. Martin Truex, he missed the playoffs, but his season was great. Honestly, he should have been up here, like him over his teammate, to be completely honest. I can't really say much. All he needed was a win, and he probably would have been competing to possibly make the championship 4. Which, speaking of it, though, his teammate made the championship 4. Congratulations for Christopher Bell pulling off 2 Game 7s in the playoffs. In the round of 12 and the round of 8, he had to win to get in, and he did it. He was not the best car at either race, either. He was played it smart. It was perfect, quite impressive. I'm proud of that team. I'd like to see Christopher Bell to continue this and become a champion. He didn't quite have enough this year. He was a little bit lacking. His car was nothing special at Phoenix, but Phoenix is such a track you can't pass on it. It doesn't matter, So I'm gonna put not good for Harrison Burton. He's just an underperforming rookie season. Matt DiBenedetto probably would have got this car in the playoffs, honestly. Speaking of Matt Benedetto, he won a truck race. he finally won something. So, I'm not bought in to Harrison Burton. I think that was a bad decision by Penske and Wood Brothers. I get it, but it's not working. Joey Logano, obviously your champion. Great season. Honestly, I think he was the probably second favorite behind Chase Elliott for the championship. And he won it. He dominated. He had his teammate there in a block of Ross Chastain. Ever got close. But yeah, pretty solid season. I'm gonna put Bubba in this one because his car he raced started the season in. I know he finished in the 45, but it's meh. He wasn't very great at points, but a lot of it was his pit crew. He did get that impressive win at Kansas. I was proud of him. He got the 45 in the round of 12, which was pretty damn good for him, for the owners' standings. Hopefully he can take that next step forward and make the playoff. If he can make the playoffs, he might make a push. He's got to get better at road courses, short tracks even. He's pretty decent at the 1.5 miles, and that's about it, which, there's a lot of them on the schedule, but with the amount of road courses and short tracks that are growing, he's got to get better at those too as well. William Byron, I thought was going to be a championship contender at the start of the season, and he completely fell off. And then he screwed his teammate out when it seemed like Rick Hendrick bought out NASCAR to make his point penalty and just more money when he spun Denny Hamlin out. I didn't like that. I would have rather seen the 5, because the 5 would have made it instead of the 9 into the championship 4, which would have been bad, but I think the 5 was more competitive in that race. It's been about a month, so I can't quite remember, but yeah. The 27, it doesn't matter. 31 of Justin Haley. Pretty impressive, He started off meh, but he really just got into a groove near the end of the season. I hope he can carry that next year. Maybe he can pull another win out. Maybe he can make a playoff. Maybe make a push. Him and AJ Allmendinger is going to be an interesting team to watch for. Those two work really well together. They have a ton of chemistry, and I can't wait to see what Matt Colleague and Colleague Racing does next season. It's going to be something awesome. I'm gonna put both the front row cars in the meh. Honestly, outside of the win, I think Michael McDowell had a better season this year. And I'm really hoping that he can help build front row. And I think his teammate Todd Gilliland had the better rookie season than Harrison Burton, even though maybe they didn't make that in the standings. Todd Gilliland had some peak moments. He was racing for the lead. At tracks that wasn't just super speedways. I got to give it to Todd. It was a solid season for his car. That's where I'm going to put him. Cole Custer get him out of Cup, which is what happened. Thankfully, Tony Stewart won that battle. He's just not very good. I get, the penalty at the end of the year. He did what the team asked him to do, but, that's what you got to do. If you're in one of those cars, you just got to do it. I'm also going to throw Ty Dillon in to get out of Cup, which he was kicked out of that car, but I think... Did he sign with somebody? I think he might have signed with somebody else in Cup, but I don't know. He's just not good. It's whatever. He shouldn't keep getting decent Cup rides, because this was a decent Cup ride because his teammate won a race. Unfortunately, it was the first race of the playoffs, but Eric Jones looked great all season, and he deserved a playoff spot, to be completely honest. I think he would have been probably the front runner for a playoff spot out of any of the guys who missed the playoffs. If so many people didn't win outside of probably Truex. Whatever, the 44, they disappeared. So I don't know really where to put. I'm just gonna put Kurt Busch or Ty Gibbs in the meh. I mean, unfortunately, what happened to Kurt Busch? He was gonna be in the playoffs, Injury ended his career sucks, but Ty Gibbs was nothing spectacular in that car. So whichever way you want to spin it, I'm just gonna put it in the meh. Like, I could have put it in the playoffs because technically his car was in the playoffs, but it wasn't. The 47. Put Stenhouse and not good. They started off decent. I think they got like a hot streak where there was a bunch of top 10s early on in the season. And they finished somewhere mid-20s in the standings, I think. It just wasn't all-inspiring. I honestly kind of wish they moved on from Stenhouse. I feel like there's somebody better they could have put in that car and possibly seen what they could do. But yeah. So technically, Bowman made the playoffs despite the fact that he then suffered an injury that didn't quite end his season, but ended his playoff run. It was unfortunate, but it was going to happen with this new car, obviously, after the Kurt Busch things. It's not shocking. It happened to a playoff driver. It's unfortunate. Bowman got that early win and then was kind of just solid through the rest of the season, but nothing spectacular. I don't think he was going to make a championship 4 run, but you never know. I mean, I didn't think that, excuse me, Christopher Bell was going to do it, but he did. So, you never know. But, yeah, unfortunate way to end his season, but he was actually in the playoffs, not like Kurt Busch, so that's why I'll pop him in there. The 50, just going to put him not good. It wasn't bad. All right, so the only driver that's going to be continuing in Cup next season, I get that's a bad car, but it's just, he's not worth keeping in it. You've seen it with the 15 when you had Ryan Preece or Joey Hand at a road course racing that car. They performed really well. So maybe give it to somebody who might actually be able to drive. Unlike Cody Ware. It's simple. The 66, I don't really count. The 77, Landon Castle, Josh Bilicki, whoever raced it sucked. I wish they would sell this, live fast. It's pointless for them to be there. These guys are most of these are pointless to really talk about because they weren't consistently racing or consistent driver. Daniel Suarez, though, is worth talking about, making an impressive playoff run. So close if he just didn't lose power steering and he fought so hard. My wife is Daniel Suarez fan, and she was so upset when his power steering went down, and just listening to him beg his team to try to figure some way out to help him. It was unfortunate, but he did make an impressive run, and he might have had a shot to do something like Chastain did, but I don't think he performed that great in the round of 12, as far as I remember. You don't really pay attention to who's left, or the round 8, I mean. But, this is my rankings. Mostly it's the guys who weren't playoff teams, but I did talk about them and talk whatever. But thanks for watching.